Welcome to the Book of Life, a show about Jewish people and the books we read. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. In this inaugural December 2005 episode of our podcast, we celebrate the holiday of Hanukkah. We'll hear from Eric Kimmel, author of the classic story Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins. CBI Youth Director Ali Shear will share his opinion of the new CD, The Hanukkah Lounge. Up-and-coming author Rebecca Tova Ben-Zvi tells us about her brand-new book, 4 Sides, 8 Nights. And Rabbi Richard Agler shares a page from his own personal Book of Life. What is your favorite Hanukkah book?
Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins. Yeah.
All right. So why is Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins your favorite Hanukkah book?
Because I love how it's Hanukkah. I love how he drinks all the monsters and stuff.
Eric Kimmel is the author of Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins, published by Holiday House in 1985, with illustrations by Trina Shard-Hyman. In this original folktale, the Yiddish character Herschel of Ostropol encounters a series of goblins who have taken over the local synagogue, refusing to let the villagers celebrate Hanukkah. Clever Herschel defeats a new goblin on each of the 8 nights of Hanukkah, using only his sharp wits. When he defeats the terrifying king of the goblins, the spell is broken, and the shtetl can celebrate at last. We spoke to the author by telephone at his home in Portland, Oregon.
Tell us about writing Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins.
Well, the thing that interests people most about Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins, the story comes almost entirely from non-Jewish sources. The real inspiration was Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Really?
Because in A Christmas Carol, Dickens really does an amazing thing. He takes a religious holiday and he creates an entirely inclusive story. The closest you get to any kind of religious sentiment is Tiny Tim saying, "God bless us, everyone." So everything that is positive about the holiday is there, but none of the religious trappings are. So I thought it might be fun to try that idea as a Hanukkah story that would really be fun for everybody. And really all you need to know are the usual stuff, dreidels, menorah, and the thing about it that I've been very pleased about is that it's everywhere loves this story. I get letters from kids in places where there isn't a Jewish family for 100 miles who say that's their favorite story. They prefer that to the usual Christmas stories. The other thing I liked about A Christmas Carol is the spookiness. And, of course, there's nothing spooky about Hanukkah, but bringing in some dark, threatening element. It goes with the season because everything is dark. And my grandma always used to tell me spooky stories from Europe. There are always spirits and shadows. And then I needed a hero to hold it all together, so I used a traditional Jewish hero, Herschel Ostropolia.
This is the most popular book in the entire library here at Congregation B'nai Israel. We also have a lot of other Hanukkah books that you've written, and I believe you have probably written more Hanukkah books than any other author. So I wanted to ask you, besides Herschel, which Hanukkah books that you've written did you enjoy writing the most, or are you the most proud of?
The Hanukkah Guest is close to my heart because that was based on a lot of things I love. I like bears. The model for the old lady in the book is my grandma, who loved animals. The bigger or the better she liked them. And the whole idea of not being able to see the dangers around you because you just don't see or hear very well comes from Mr. Magoo cartoons that I loved when I was a kid. So that one is always one of my favorites. Well, one more book I should tell you about isn't even out yet, and it's kind of a Hanukkah story. It's called A Horn for Lewis, and it's based on an actual episode in the life of the great Louis Armstrong about how he got his first horn, a B-flat cornet. He was working for a Jewish family in New Orleans, and they had a junk business. So Louis would ride around on the junk wagon with a little toy tin horn just tootling away, and people liked the sounds he made, so they'd bring some junk to put in the wagon, throw him a penny. And the story is about how the family, the Karnofskys, helps Louis get his first real horn.
Eric Kimmel, I want to thank you for speaking with us, and from everyone at CBI, Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, thank you, Heidi. Happy Hanukkah to you, too.
Craig Taubman's new Hanukkah Lounge album is another slick piece of extra high-quality Jewish music production that we all can attribute to Craig and his entire career. I've known Craig for 25 years or so. Began making music with Craig in the 1980s. He has become one of the top 2 or 3 Jewish artists in the entire country and a major producer of work for other people as well. Hanukkah Lounge stands as a unique representation of Jewish music. It's a smooth and jazz-tinged sort of an album, easy listening. Some of the Hanukkah melodies are barely discernible from the originals, which gives it a new and contemporary feel. I encourage anyone and everyone to go get a copy and have a happy Hanukkah.
The album is Craig Taubman's The Hanukkah Lounge, Instrumental Jew Age Music. Thanks to CBI Youth Director Ali Shear for sharing his perspective on it. The Hanukkah Lounge CD is available for checkout at the Feldman Library, but if you'd like to own your own copy, visit celebrateseries.com. Rebecca Tova Ben-Zvi is the author of the new book 4 Sides, 8 Nights, a new spin on Hanukkah, published by Roaring Brook Press this year with illustrations by Susanna Nati. Rebecca is a part-time librarian and full-time author. We spoke to her by telephone at her home in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Rebecca, welcome to the Book of Life.
Thank you.
Now, before we begin, I just want to share with our listeners that Rebecca and I both earned our library science degrees at the University of Pittsburgh, and that we both worked as librarians for the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh.
Right, same branch even.
That's right, but not at the same time. Okay, well, can you tell us about 4 Sides, 8 Nights?
It's a Hanukkah book, nonfiction. It's 8 chapters to reflect the 8 nights of Hanukkah. And the title, 4 Sides, 8 Nights, refers to the 4 sides of the dreidel and the 8 nights of the holiday.
What inspired you to write a Hanukkah book?
I love the idea of focusing on the dreidel because it's so playful, and yet at the same time it's meaningful. It's not frivolous play. It has a meaning and a history. And it seems like a great way to bring in so many different aspects of the holiday. We have the historical and the religious and the playful and the scientific.
What other new facts did you learn while you were researching the book?
Oh, quite a bit, actually. Almost everything in the book was either new to me or I was newly reminded of it. Maybe I knew, but I went, oh yeah, I forgot, I knew that. Something I didn't have any inkling of was that in the early 20th century, in Europe, in Eastern Europe, kids made their own dreidels. But they made their own dreidels out of molten lead.
Out of molten lead?
Out of molten lead. These kids would take a block of wood, and carve out the dreidel shape and make the letters in reverse, of course, because it's a mold. And then they would heat lead until it was liquid and pour it in the wooden mold. Children were doing this. So today we have a description of that project, but we say at the bottom of the page, do not try this at home.
What do you think is the most important thing people should know about Hanukkah?
I think probably the original Hanukkah story about the Maccabees, about perseverance of a small group fighting for what is right and how they, their enemy very powerful and outnumbered them and outarmed them. They still triumphed in the end. Yeah, I think that's the most important part.
Well, Rebecca, thanks so much for speaking with us and have a great Hanukkah.
Oh, thank you. You too, Heidi.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Rabbi Richard Agler, head rabbi here at Congregation B'nai Israel, shares a page from his own personal Book of Life.
Shalom, this is Rabbi Richard Agler of Congregation B'nai Israel. The Jewish people are known as the people of the book. Indeed, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to imagine our lives apart from the book the Bible. In no small measure, it has defined who we are. Our culture, history, heritage, and faith would be unimaginably different without it. In our personal lives, too, Jews consider reading something of a core competency, something we actively practice. A Jewish home without a bookshelf, without library cards, without a love of reading, even in this media-saturated and digital age, is not, in some way we sense, fully a Jewish home. Reading has been central and directive in my life, and I know it has been the same for many of us. Were it not for my own encounter with the books of Proverbs and Psalms during my college years, I would not have pursued a path of higher Jewish study, the path that led me to the rabbinate. Many of us can tell similar stories of how our own lives have been changed, energized, or re-inspired through great books and reading. Reading gives us the ability to probe profound subjects in depth, at our own pace and without interruption. Reading can succeed in illuminating us where everyday conversation falls short. I don't think I'm the only one who sometimes feels that people who read and read seriously can be much more interesting and show greater depth than those who do not. In this day and age, the great texts that civilization has produced have never been more accessible to us. The ability to read is a great gift. The opportunity to read is a matchless treasure. I try to make the most of it in my life, and I believe that all of us are blessed when we do the same. Happy reading to one and all.
If you'd like to share a page from your own book of life, or to express your opinion on our show about a particular book, CD, or video owned by the Feldman Library, email me, Heidi Estrin, at heidi@cbiboca.org. That's HEIDI at cbiboca.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band from Sacramento, California, whose CDs feature upbeat music from Ashkenazic and Sephardic traditions with Brazilian, Gypsy, and Celtic influences. Borrow their CDs at the Feldman Library or buy your own copies at freilachmakers.com. To download episodes of the Book of Life podcast, visit us on the web at jewishbooks.blogspot.com. That's jewishbooks, one word, .blogspot.com. Links to the books and CDs mentioned in the show are available on this website. To take us out, we have a bonus track for you from the CBI Staff Hanukkah Party. Here's Kendra Stephanie Shore on guitar and Rabbi Robert Silvers singing Thank God I'm a Jewish Boy. You can hear the whole song by stopping by the CBI Library to borrow the CD. Now that sounds kosher. Happy Hanukkah, everybody, and thanks for listening.
When I was just a lad, I went to Hebrew school. I learned about the Torah and the dietary rules. They taught me about the Pharaoh and a couple other fools. Thank God I'm a Jewish boy. You guys try that. Go study your Torah, said my father to his son. You'll have a nice bar mitzvah and you'll get a lot of bonds. You make your parents happy if you stay away from blondes. Thank God I'm a Jewish boy. I got my menorah and I got a dreidel. When I'm feeling sick, I got soup with potatoes. There ain't nothing better than a Yiddish tomato. Thank God.